Hi Flake family, my name is Chloe and welcome back to the channel. I am a full-time reseller and I've made over 5 figures reselling, and I'm about to spill the tea on some top tips that might help you take your business to the next level. Today's video is all about Vinted, and I do know this platform inside and out, both from the reseller side and helping Vinted UK users find stock for their shop using Fleek. And today I wanted to have a real honest conversation with you about Vinted as a reselling business and the reality of what it actually takes to build something consistent. So if you are thinking about reselling or just scaling up your existing reselling business, then this video is going to cover everything from sourcing, shipping, profit, wholesale, you name it. We're covering it in this video. Also going to be discussing the Vinted mindset. Without further ado, let's get into it. Section 1 is all about setting realistic expectations. So first things first, let's talk about what Vinted is actually good for. Vinted works really well for affordable, everyday, casual fashion. High street brands, trendy pieces, vintage items as well. Fast-moving stock at accessible price points for buyers who are looking for a bargain. But on the other hand, this is what Vinted might not be good for, and that comes with high-end designer pieces, and for that reason, these pieces are more likely to sell faster on Vestiaire or eBay. Vinted resellers who are likely to succeed, and I see this every single day working with Fleek, is that they are treating it like a volume game. So that means they'll have consistent stock, solid margins, and an organized shipping system, and they do not get attached to items. And the ones who quit usually are the ones who run out of stock, can't scale their sourcing, or they get overwhelmed with their operations. And this could be a few factors. So they could start strong, list a few items out of their wardrobe first, and then they'll make a few sales, but they'll hit a wall because they don't know where to source clothing from, and they haven't actually built a proper system. Therefore, they have not got the stock to make consistent sales day in, day out every single month. So if you are asking the question, can I actually make money reselling on Vinted? Well, the answer is yes, of course you can, but only if you treat it like a proper business. The biggest part of that, it's solving the stock problem, which we are about to get into. Section 2 is literally talking about stock. This is the biggest part of the bottleneck, and that is your stock. Actually, what's going to make or break your reselling business, so listen up. Most people will actually start with their own wardrobe to resell a few pieces from it, and then what they'll do is go to charity shops, car boot sales, buy a few things that they know that they can make profit on. Some resellers also actually buy from Vinted. It's almost like they're buying from Vinted to resell on Vinted. And yeah, of course you can buy Vinted bundles to resell on Vinted, but is it really sustainable? Because the competition is absolutely fierce, and that means that the margins get tighter. So you actually might be spending hours in charity shops, hours in car boot sales, hours scrolling on Vinted, maybe to only walk away with 2 or 3 pieces that are gold every single time. That is just hours wasted when you could actually be sourcing smarter. And this for me is where most resellers will fail, because hobby sourcing does not scale. And when I was building Retro Clothes Shop, I actually encountered this same problem, because to run a reselling business successfully, you should be listing at least 20 to 30 items a week, or at least 150 items a month. And you need to list those pieces very efficiently, which means that you need the pieces to be accessible, not just hunting for those pieces with guesswork and luck. You need a proper system. And that, of course, is the exact problem that we solve here at Fleek. What we actually do is connect UK Vinted resellers like yourself who's watching this video right now to trusted suppliers from all around the world. And these suppliers specialize in vintage and secondhand clothing. They also have wholesalers who specialize in bulk vintage wholesale over there, which is directly aimed for Vinted UK resellers to resell on the platform. So instead of competing with loads of other resellers who are using charity shops and car boot sales, you can actually take out the guesswork and use Fleek Wholesale for your business, just paying wholesale prices. You can browse inventory on the Fleek app, put it in your basket and check out in just a few clicks. All of your pieces, when they arrive, will be ready to list. You can also use the handpick or exact bundle filter, so that means everything that you buy would either be handpicked by yourself, or you can actually see what you're buying. And this for me was a complete game changer, because I went from spending 12 hours a week sourcing to literally 30 minutes. And it saves you so much time and it allows you to scale faster. So do make sure that you check the Fleek app out if you haven't already. It will be linked down in the description box below for you guys to check out. And in terms of what sells well and what you should be buying from Fleek, I will actually add a few popular brands on the screen right here that I have seen fast flips on Vinted for myself. Shoppers want fashion at a fraction of retail. And when you are sourcing through the app on Fleek, you can get exactly these categories and these brands in bulk at prices that give you better margins. Section 3 is all about how money works. Let's talk about the nitty gritty, and this is money on Vinted, because Vinted's fee structure is completely different. So you might want to take notes. So on Vinted, sellers don't pay for the fees. The buyer pays for the fee and the protection and also the shipping as well, which means that you as a reseller get to keep 100% of your profits. But with that said, this is what actually happens. When buyers have to pay fees on top of their order that they're already paying a lot for, this is where they start to negotiate. So they will send lower offers because they expect bundle prices. So what you need to do as a reseller is factor this information in. So whether that be that you put the price up 10%, 20% higher than what you actually listed it for, so that you have that little bit of wiggle room to accept offers. So when I'm pricing items, and this is what I would say to anybody that's starting out using Fleek Wholesale, is that you've got to think about these 3 figures. These 3 numbers are so crucial. And that is your cost price, your listing price, and your actual sale price. For example, let's say that you bought something for £3 from a wholesale bundle on Fleek. So you might actually list this item between £25 and £30. But then you are also actually allowing yourself to accept offers. So this creates, like I said before, this idea of a wiggle room. So you might actually accept £20 or at least 22, 25. That kind of offer, you're still making an amazing profit, but you're also allowing your buyer to feel like they've got a good bargain at the end of the day, and that is what you want. Now, that is solid when you're moving so many of these items, fast flips, every single day. You physically can't do that when you're just buying one charity shop item for £8. Yes, it feels good, and yes, it feels amazing, but having the stock in volume allows you to scale faster. And of course, you can make return profit like this every single time. So let's talk about bundles and why you should buy them through the Fleek app first, because this is great and it actually has a feature that allows you to break down your profit every single time. So when you're shopping on the Fleek app, I'll pop a little screenshot here so you guys can see. Inside the app, they will actually say the estimated profit and also how much the piece is worth. So they actually do a profit breakdown. They'll actually give you a breakdown of your bundle order here, so you can actually see the total cost and, of course, how much individual piece costs as well. As you have the cost down, so you know how much you paid for it, you're then able to calculate how much times profit you want to make on that item, whether it be 2, 3, 4. For example, if you're then selling on Vinted and you have multiple different items in your shop, and somebody comes to your shop and offers you, okay, so they'd like to buy 3 items from your store, you could literally just knock £5 or £10 down off that for them. They feel like they've got a bargain. You've priced it 10 to 20% higher than what you wanted it for anyway. You're making profit. They feel like they've got a bargain. And that is how the psychology works on the platform. Understanding how to sell on Vinted UK's platform as a reseller means that once you crack the sourcing and the pricing of this whole system, you can actually scale predictably, because you'll know your numbers, you'll know your margins, and that way then you can start to plan your growth. Section 4 is all about visibility and getting your listing seen. All right, so you've got stock. That's amazing. You found the little loophole that allows you to literally gain as much stock as you possibly can. You've also listed the items now, so you've literally ordered your bundle, you've photographed them, they're sat on Vinted right now. So now the question is, how do people actually find your item? There's multiple ways that you can do this. I'm going to talk you through some of the most efficient ones, and we're going to start talking about the bump feature. So Vinted have a bump feature inside that allows you to pay a little bit of money into their app so that your channel, your page, your shop can actually get seen and it gets pushed higher through the algorithm. They also have obviously the promote tool as well that does this for your entire shop, or you can do it for individual items. So these are called promote or bump. And each one of these is a paid feature within the app. And honestly, from my experience, I've never actually bumped my shop. I think I've promoted my shop once. I've never actually bumped any of my items, and I never need to, because this is a strategy that I use that I'm about to spill the tea on. And that is all about how the algorithm rewards activity. So if you're uploading every single day, the algorithm will notice your shop. push you higher in search because they can see that you're an active user. Also, if you are on the app and you have quick responses to customers, if you ship fast as well, this rewards you through the platform. So I will actually only use the promote tool if I've got higher priced items. So for example, say if I'm selling waistcoats, for example, because that's my niche, I will probably bump a few of these items that I think, well, they're worth £50 or more. So for example, say you have a really trendy piece of clothing that you've priced at £60, but it's been online for 1 to 2 weeks and it's not sold yet. Now might be the time to either reduce the price or bump the item without reducing the price to see if it gets that traction, to see if it gets that visibility first. So my honest take, and this is something to just clarify this situation, you don't need to bump and you don't need to promote if you are just getting started. So what you do instead is you can actually list 5 to 10 items a day, or at least 1 item per day, which allows your account to be boosted through the search algorithm. And this is totally achievable if you are obviously using Fleek Wholesale for your business. And being able to be pushed through search higher by uploading every single day is one of the most important tools and pieces of information that you will need in order to become very, very successful on Vinted. And usually consistency beats literally everything every single time. So if you can upload 1 item a day, at least you're doing something right and you will see an increase of sales. Section 5, we are talking everything about shipping to operations. And this is usually where most people will mess up. So let me just clarify a few things. So you need to be able to price your item right and source it at a lower cost price in order to make the profit. Really get a pen and paper with me for this because you'll need this more than anything. If you can see that you're making consistent profit and you've got exponential growth every time you're investing and then reinvesting every single time, if you have more money than what you started with, you're definitely onto something really good. However, you need to factor in these crucial items, these crucial elements into your business in order for it to be a success. One of the things I've always found is that you should be using Vinted's integrated shipping. And this could be anything from Yodel, InPost, Every, Royal Mail. I think they have DPD on there as well. So they have a huge selection. You can actually go into your settings and change these. So if you didn't want to ship with all of them, you don't have to. I pretty much use Every and Royal Mail for everything. And then I use DPD if somebody orders a bundle from me. So these are like the 3 main ones I would say, but I do know that a lot of people use InPost lockers. So I suppose it's just whichever one is closer to you and where you live, or whichever one you prefer to use. But these are the biggest operational mistakes that I see all of the time. And I made these too. So I'm holding my hands up. I did this. So we're going to get into it. One is obviously poor packaging. I've seen this everywhere and you need to make sure that you buy poly mailers from literally, you can buy these online. They make your business just look a bit more professional and they make you stand out a little bit better. And also when the actual parcel arrives to the buyer, it's not going to get damaged in transit. These make such a huge difference and they also create return buyers as well. 2 is just shipping slowly. So for example, say if someone buys something on Monday, you should be shipping that item Wednesday at the latest. To take this seriously and like a full-time job business, you need to be able to literally get them in and out the door as quickly as they came in the door, if that makes sense. A lot of the time when somebody's ordering a garment, they need it for an event. So they sometimes have zero patience and those delays will create bad reviews sometimes. 3 is just selecting the wrong parcel size. And this is so crucial with when it comes to reselling, you need to make sure that you get this nailed. You've clicked the wrong postage size when, for example, say you've sold a pair of cowboy boots and you actually clicked small envelope. That is not good and you will have to buy a separate label for that customer or cancel the order. So just bear that in mind when you are pricing, when you are literally listing your items, just literally make sure that you do it slowly and you look at what the item is and what the parcel size needs to be. 4 is just not communicating. If there's a delay, if there's a flaw that you've missed that you can't send it out to them, just communicate that issue because most of the time the buyer will just say, oh, that's fine. But the thing is, you communicated it before you sent it out to them. And that is the most crucial thing because it actually builds buyer trust. What you need to do in this industry is get a system. So everybody's system looks completely different. So I will actually batch ship. So I will go to the post office on a Monday, Wednesday, and a Friday. I give myself the weekend off. And then any sales that have been made over the weekend go straight back out on Monday. Also, what I tend to do is I wait until the end of the day for those orders. I don't just do them individually and then I'll wrap them all at the same time. So for example, say I've sold 5 items in one day, they will all get wrapped that evening. You can also obviously buy a printer, you can buy all the resources, the stickers, the business cards. That just comes with your business and how you want it to look. I literally have these. I'll put them on the screen so you can see what I do. It actually separates casual vintage resellers with business pro resellers. And once you can start to gain that knowledge and gain that trust window with your buyer, there's no reason why you cannot be successful on Vinted. Most of the time, a lot of the time, I found that most resellers will quit because they're just too overwhelmed with their systems. If you've got a system that works for you and you've got Fleek on your side to basically source the stock, that literally takes half of the job away from you so that you can focus on the things you want to do, like building the systems, building these operations that allow your business to flow with ease. Quick word on disputes. You will mainly find these if, for example, say the buyer has not received their item, it's gone lost in the post, the item was damaged in transit by the courier, or you have not described the item clearly and missed a flaw that they are just unhappy with, whether it be a mark, a tear, a stain, whatever it is, they will actually raise a claim. So here is what you do when that happens. What you actually need to do, and this is how I protect myself, photograph everything and thoroughly. Always keep a proof of postage as well, whether it be digitally or physically. Vinted disputes are honestly pretty fair. It's just down to a few things that have gone a little bit wrong, and that might be out of your control. If that happens, as long as you have the evidence and the clarity, and literally, when I say evidence, if you've just got the receipt of postage, you'll be fine. Sometimes the worst thing that can happen is that you will have to open a claim with one of the couriers to basically get a refund. But most of the time, Vinted will sort this out, especially if they can see that the item has gone lost or there's no movement on tracking. The first time that this obviously happens, because I've experienced this quite a few times in my reselling career, you just need to stay calm, professional, and always be peaceful and mindful with their situation and your situation when dealing with this. Just be polite when you are communicating with each other. And that leads me to say, just don't fight every single dispute that you have. Just pick your battles and make sure that you have all the evidence to back yourself. And that brings us to the last section of this video, which is all about the real Vinted mindset. So here's what matters for real success on Vinted, long-term success that you will see with your business and allow it to grow faster and further. Everybody will say to you, oh, this is a profit business, but this is a volume business. The more stock you have, the right stock, the more right stock that you have, the more sales that you're going to make. You'll need consistent stock, consistent listings, and consistent sales. You'll also need consistent shipping as well. Something I've learned is it's not just about buying that piece for £1, flipping it for 50. That's great, but can you do it on every single item every single time? Yes, you can with Fleek, but charity shops and car boot sales, maybe not. So with that said, what you actually need to do is move 30 pieces per week at an average sale price of £15 to £25 per piece on every single piece, every single week. Trust me, you'll see results when you literally do this, especially if you can get the right stock. Resellers making real money on Vinted UK have systems because they know their numbers inside and out. They know their margins, they know their profit, and they know exactly what they're buying. I mean, it might take them a long time to figure it out, but they have got there, and they know that through trial and error and experimentation. And that, for that reason, is the main reason why people shop on the Fleek app, because it's accessible, it's easy to source stock on there, and you can also file a demand if you cannot find the stock that you're actually looking for. You cannot show up consistently if you don't have consistent stock. The algorithm will not reward you if you're not listing, and neither will your customers. So make sure that you treat this like a business and you track your numbers every single time. You should know your profit per item as well. Over time, you will be able to identify these key factors. So this is literally the thing to take away from this. If you want to be successful on Vinted UK, these are the things you need to take away with you right now. Write these down, get these clear, find these out, experiment, and you will succeed. You need to know your profit per item. That's number one. You also need to understand what is your monthly revenue. And you also need to understand your best selling categories. These 3 things, if you know the answers to them, you will become very, very successful. Optimize your sourcing, tighten your operations, and just be patient. It does take a few months to actually build momentum, but trust me, once you've nailed it, it's so worth it. Vinted resellers who are succeeding have built huge grounding foundations that allow them to take their business to the next level. These are not viral moments, they're not lucky finds, it's systems. It's all about systems. I hear it everywhere, and it is so true. Build a system that works for you and your schedule and work to it. Stick to it. Be consistent with it. Show up every single day following the system that you've built for yourself, and you'll never go wrong. At Fleek, we are not just a sourcing platform. We are actually giving the resellers out there, like you watching this video right now, the real confidence, the real infrastructure, and the real identity of what it takes to become a successful reseller. And we just want you to build something sustainable and have fun in the process of doing it. Trust me when I say this, I've been where you're sat today, and I know how hard it is. That honestly is everything that I wish I knew before I started reselling on Vinted UK. And if you want to check out Fleek to see how we can solve your sourcing problems, then there will be a link in the description below. You can download the app or visit the website, which is on the screen right here. Fleek has the suppliers that will help you scale. As always, we would love to hear from you, each and every one of you. We will reply to each and every comment that is made. So please drop something down there below, whether it be if you've just started Vinted or you're looking to start Fleek, or you've been selling on there for a long time and you've already tried Fleek out. Let us know in the comment section below. If this video really helps you, then make sure that you like the video, you subscribe to the channel, and you turn the bell notification on so that you'll never miss when we post. Good luck on all of your reselling journeys. I will see you in the next video.